The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome back to the Final Furlong Podcast for our Easter special. We are going to preview the best of the racing at Fairyhouse and arguably the greatest race in the history of Plumpton, the Sussex Champion Hurdle, as the Trainers' Championship hots up. Skelton has wrestled back the lead, but Team Mullins are coming. We'll do so in the company of George Gorman, Jamie Wren and Andy Newton, and we'll kick it off with the WillowWarm Gold Cup at Fairyhouse, where there's interesting declarations, shall we say. No Ballyburn, and Paul Townend will not be riding the anti-post second favourite Spindleberry. Instead, he's on Champ Kiely. I nearly backed the horse yesterday, but foolish me, I didn't. This is a race that Willie Mullins has won 5 of the last 7 runnings of. Paul Townend has ridden 4 of those winners. Jamie Wren, is he going to be back in the winner's enclosure with our old friend Champ Kiely?
I'm going to take him on, Emmet. I actually fancy the mare big time. And looks like there's going to be more rain, 25 millimetres in this, if approx. She was second, obviously, in the Honeysuckle last year behind Jay de Grugy. The heavier ground, the better her chance. Like, she's getting £7 from Champ Kiely. Champ Kiely's marks 150. She's 142. She absolutely hammered by Illuminescence last day. Barely got up on debut in Cork over 2 miles 5.5 against Majestic Force. Form isn't great, but beaten by Illuminescence has got me thinking that this is a good horse. And Champ Kiely, I suppose, beat Shigoran on debut there, and then was fourth, obviously, behind Ballyburn. I think it needs to go right-handed, but look, surprised me in the Flying Boat at Nevin beating Geno Lapan, but look at back to the form behind Geno. Who did he beat? That's my, but he's obviously better going right-handed, but I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take him on with Spindleberry. For me, I think she could be better, especially receiving the mare's allowance, yeah.
Okay, we were being real clever recording on Friday afternoon because that meant we were going to have declarations. We only have betting from one company. Jeff has not put prices up yet, but one company are going 6-4. In fact, the betting is now in real time. The betting is coming through. 6-4 Champ Kiely, 5-2 Spindleberry, 100-30 Ile Atlantique. Who is backing that horse at 10-3?
No one.
Who? Firefox 16-1 and Kilberry Saint is a 66-1 shot. In my quest to give you accurate stats, I ended up engaging in Russian disinformation, misinformation, and completely quoting you the wrong statistics. My excuse is I am dying with the flu for the 3rd time this year alone. It's ridiculous. I don't understand what's going on. Willie Mullins has won 5 of the last 6 runnings. He had the 2nd last year. He had the 2nd and 3rd last year, in fact, and he had the 2nd in 2016 and 2017 as well. And he's got a massive chance of doing it again. Jamie's with Spindleberry. George Gorman, I'm with Champ Kiely. I don't like the price, but I do think he'll win. Who are you with?
Yeah, no, I'm with the favourite here. Look, on the weight adjusted ratings, Ile Atlantique's the one to beat, but we all know we can't trust him. His novice hurdle form sort of speaks for itself, doesn't he? He was 3rd behind Perry Pass and Gaelic Warrior in the 2023 Turners, as it is now. Got an RPR of 151 for that. He got 149 when he won the Lawlers of Naas. He showed a lot of that ability still around. He won it on his comeback by 11 lengths. And I think when you look at the DRF, like, you could say he was in too deep. That was just 32 days after coming back from a 614-day break. So I'd say he probably bounced the DRF. What I think may you sign that he's going to improve massively for a fence, and has improved massively for a fence, is when he was running over hurdles, he was hanging, pulling, jumping out to his left, out to his right. And he seems to have completely settled now. That's sort of gone from his game. And last time was a career best RPR of 155, winning the Flying Bolt by 8 lengths. 2 mile wouldn't have suited him, I don't think. I think he's probably 2 mile 4 to potentially even a 3 miler now. And I think probably the heavy ground saw him able to sort of use his stamina that day. If he can perform to something above that 155, which I think he will back up in trips, to say an RPR of like 160, Spindleberry's going to have to put out a hell of a lot of improvement to beat him. And for that reason, I'm going to trust what I think I'm going to trust that Champ Kiely can take a small step forward rather than Spindleberry taking a big one.
Okay. Logic, fair reasoning. Can't really argue with you. And I'm very much with you, by the way. What about Andy Newton? Who do you like?
Well, look, let's even it up, all right? Because Jamie's gone for the mare Spindleberry, right? And we're going to go head to head, 2 against 2 here. But look, I mean, look, the jockey bookings are going to, tell a big story. I mean, Townend obviously has been riding Spindleberry, and he's decided to come off it and ride Champ Kiely. So that is, one of the reasons why that's going to be the favourite. But I know George was saying about, the improvement with Spindleberry. I don't know. I just think that of the two, that is she's the more likely to find a bit more. I mean, with the mare's allowance as well. I mean, there's only probably £1 in it, isn't it, on the official rating? So, both of course winners. And yeah, I just think there might be a little bit more to come from Spindleberry. He looked quite impressive last time against that bioluminescence. As Jamie said, if the rain comes as well, that's going to add to her calls. And yeah, so yeah, let's go Spindleberry, 2 against 2. See what happens, boys. Yeah.
Okay. Slightly confused as to why Townend's not riding Spindleberry. And I think the fact that he's getting on Champ Kiely just sort of tells you all you need to know. But that being said, she's been trained for the race, and they were talking her up not that long ago. So it's also just Willie Mullins. The man's got unbelievable firepower and strength and depth. Maybe it doesn't really matter anymore. So Champ Kiely for George Gorman and I at Spindleberry for the 2 boys, and nobody else has got a chance. The 4:10 is the Honeysuckle Irish Stallion Farms EBF Honeysuckle Mares Novice Hurdle Grade 1. Again, prices only just about starting to filter through, but the Big Westerner is your 6-4 favourite, having been runner-up at the Cheltenham Festival. Also runner-up, 6.5. She's been cut to 3-1. She was 4s only a couple of days ago. The horse who beat her, Heir of Entitlement, who should be better suited to this trip. And Rachel Blackmore was always going to ride her because the Big Westerner is Darragh O'Keefe's ride, so you can't read too much into jockey bookings. 4-1 for Rachel and Henry. And then Aurora Vega, who initially was going to skip Cheltenham and be trained for this race, is an 11-2 shot at a track she really likes. Maureen bidding for redemption, 12-1. Jamie Wren, we'll start with you again. Is this all about the Cheltenham protagonists? And if so, which of those 3, of the Big Westerner, 6.5, and Heir of Entitlement, would you be with?
I don't really have a strong opinion. It's a 4 or 5 go win this, I think, Emmet, to be honest. Big Westerner, I suppose, back down and trip would be a slight worry for me. I know it won 2 miles, 5.5 at Punchestown, beating Argento Boy on debut, really. And then obviously won at the 3 mile fine at Christmas, beating Damazi's sister, who disappointed then at Limerick, Deirdre, and was that Cheltenham week, wasn't it? And was beaten by Familiar Dreams. 6-4 is a bit skimpy for me. Obviously, second to Jasmine Devonia, but Bartlett coming back to. I suppose the thing I'm going back on Spindleberry. The more rain, the better for. And if it turns into a slog and a stamina test, the Big Westerner should win really. But 6-4, taking about a mare is for me. 6.5. I was probably one of my biggest bets at Cheltenham, Emmet. How was it beaten? I just don't know. I'm like. You look back and you think, did she stay? But she won 2 miles, 2.5, beating Qualamita. Now Qualamita has a huge letdown for Gordon Elliott, spending all that money on that horse.
Yeah, she came down again the other day.
Yeah, she can't win races.
No, she flipped heels. In fairness,
she flipped heels.
It wasn't her fault.
It would have won the last day, but it was such a poor.
It was as bad a beat as you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Donoghue maybe just got to the front too quickly and thought it was over. Maybe, I don't know. Going an extra 3 furlongs would worry me, even though it was third, obviously in the Cesarevich point of view. Frat is in the Irish Cesarevich. Sorry, you think she would stay? Aurora Vega, I don't like. I think when she comes under pressure, you watch her going down the stretch. She is better right-handed, but she jinks left and right going into hurdles. The one horse that I will give a chance each way, because she was obviously extremely unlucky at Cheltenham, is Maureen.
Yes.
Especially on the debut run, beating the lady, isn't it? And Familiar Dreams. Obviously, Familiar Dreams won that grade 3 mares race at Limerick. Then was 5th behind Judas Picton, beating 16 lengths or something in the grade 1 at the Sefton in Aintree. Maybe her each way for a bit of redemption, that 12-1. But I think, look, I know it's unoriginal and 6-4, but I think the more of a slog, the Big Westerner stamina could come into play. But 6-4 to find out. I'll see. If it drifts, maybe I might have a bet. But Maureen, for a little bit of redemption, might be next year's horse and a decent chaser. But 12 to 1 to find out maybe each way if you want to go down that route. But it's not really that strong on both, really.
Yeah, she did drift quite considerably before Cheltenham, but the reason that so many of us were against her going to the Cheltenham Festival is she was such a short price on the back of just one.
The last thing I'll say, and I hope I'm not fooled by 6.5 and that it'll stay 2.5 miles and just win like a good horse that I think she is. That's what but I think she's a 2 miler. Out and out 2 miler.
Yeah, there's a part of me is slightly surprised she's in this race. There's another part of me just goes, you really should have won that day. Like I think Heir of Entitlement is very, very talented, and I think she'll be better suited to this trip. But 6.5 went through that race like the winner all the way through, right until the line. And it's such a big performance that maybe we should just stick with her. And she's already got form at Fairyhouse, so perhaps just keeping to her own sex makes sense. George, try and clear up the picture for us here. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I just think my first look through this looked quite simple, and that can be a dangerous thing. But to me, the big Westerner isn't crying out for step down in trip.
Yeah,
6.5
I agree.
isn't crying out for step up in trip. Heir of Entitlement looked like she would improve massively going up to 2.5, and doesn't need to improve much, if at all, to beat either of those two. So I'd say the market's got this badly wrong. At the moment, we're looking at 4 to 1. I can see her going off favourite. That would be, if you can get that would be the way I'd play it. One with more of an interesting outside chance, I thought, was with the extra places hopefully available at the weekend, be Hey Sunshine of Willie Mullins's. She's 3 from 3 over hurdles, stepped up to just about this trip last time. I think it was 2 mile 3.5 out of handicap company into listed company, and put in a very stylish performance, which was obviously a career best. Little concerning Philip Enright rise instead of Danny Mullins, but there could be a bit of she could end up bigger, in fairness, because Philip Enright rides. I could see her maybe even drifting out, but you look at the jockey choices, like Townend and Patrick have chosen Aurora Vega and Maureen, so they basically have to. Caroline Bamboos, obviously Mark Walsh gets a ride on that. You're sort of left then, like none of them could have chosen Hey Sunshine, if that makes sense. The only person who could have was Danny Mullins. It might just be that getting Danny Mullins on your horse would have been an easier sell to Gigginstown than Philip Enright. But I wouldn't let it worry me that much. Certainly if she got any bigger, I would.
Yeah, she's going to be an interesting one. Willie Mullins' record in this race is so good, you're almost obliged to go and look for something that he has. And I suppose it does make you look at Aurora Vega, given that she's 2 from 2 at the track as well. He's won 5 of the last 7 runnings. Townend has ridden 4 of those winners, so she's of interest. But how does she turn that Cheltenham form around? And the more I look at this race, particularly over the trip, the more Heir of Entitlement just stands out. It's a fascinating race, though. Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Cheltenham clues are going to be sort of vital, and it's just, where you in 6.5, same as what Jamie said, really. I mean, I was all over that one at Cheltenham. I think I put it up as the nap of the day, and it was like, I was walking over to the collect counter, and it was, I don't know, just got sort of chinned on, we all know, chinned on the line, sort of caught on the blind side and whatever. But it's just the trip, really. I mean, especially if the rain comes, and we just don't know. It's got a lot of, flat speed, as we know, and the course winning form is another added sort of bonus. But I don't know. I mean, I think Heir of Entitlement is we know that's going to stay. It's going to get the trip, no problem. Maureen, that'll probably be better. Now it's running over further, and if the rain comes, but is there a bigger hyped horse at the moment, than this Maureen? I mean, I don't know. I know it drifted at Cheltenham, but it's like it's. I think I said it before when we previewed it at the festival, but can't really have that to be fair. The same with the other Mullins horses. I know Mullins has got a top record in this race, but he hasn't probably got the sort of ammo that he's had in previous years, has he? If you look at his his runners here, Hey Sunshine is a bit of a unknown, like George said. They've kept it fresh, 131 days or so, but just got to keep coming back to the big Westerner, I think. And I was looking back. I mean, look, I think this is it possibly it's running against her own sex as well, which I think that's right. I'm not. Yeah,
you're right. She beat Argento Boy on debut. She beat the boys in a Grade 2, and she took on the boys in the Albert Brown. You're right.
So that for me is the big key. I think that's going to be the leveler. yes, the dropping trip is a slight, negative potentially. But if the rain comes, as Jamie said, it could turn into a slog. We know it stays further. Henry's obviously going to want to win this race, being the name of it, the Honeysuckle and all that palaver. Honeysuckle won this in 2019, I think. So, yeah, I think, look, even though Mullins has dominated this race, I think Henry de Bromhead's going to take it with one of the two, and I'll go with the Big Westerner. I think it is a bit skinny, but looks the most likely winner to me.
Top on RPRs is the Big Westerner, 150, 146 adjusted RPRs for the Big Westerner and Air of Entitlement, respectively. Time form, Air of Entitlement 154p, Sixandahalf 153p, the Big Westerner 151p. Make of that what you will. I'm going to side with George and Air of Entitlement. 4-1, as things stand, just seems way, way too big. But I genuinely thought 6.5 travelled through the Mare's Novice Hurdle like a champion hurdler. I still don't fully understand how she got beaten that day. So up and trip, this should suit Air of Entitlement. That performance against Ballybow at Down Royal on Boxing Day, St. Stephen's Day, was massive as well. So she will feature in some sort of elaborate multiple on the day, and that's the way we'll lean. Shall we go to Plumpton? This might be the best ever race that Plumpton has staged. It might be, and I really like Plumpton as a racecourse. But the Sussex Champion Hurdle is going to be a massive, massive play for the Trainers' Championship, which currently, as we're recording on Friday, is led by Dan Skelton, who's had a good couple of days. But there's a big battalion from Willie Mullins coming, and it's really headed to Plumpton, first of all. Nico de Boinville is going to ride Daddy Longlegs. We have no betting as we're recording. Harry Cobden will ride Absurd. Absurd is going to Plumpton. Sir Gerard, dual Cheltenham Festival hero Sir Gerard, is off to Plumpton. John Joe Neal Jr., who won the Triumph for the Mullins, is on board. A Grade 2 Novice Hurdle winner from earlier in the season, Tusvenator, Sam Tristan Davis, will take the ride. He's going over there as well. And standing in their way is the Moore team with Hansard. So how far is Hansard going to win the race by George Gorman? What's your overall impression of the race, and who do you think is the most likely winner?
Well, we were saying on the yard, it's the first year that the sort of name of this race hasn't sort of been a bit of a joke, really. It's actually a champion hurdle this year. But I was encouraging the lads to phone up Willie Mullins, see if they needed any, say if they needed insider knowledge of Plumpton, people who are there day in, day out. But luckily, most of the lads have got riding this anyway. It's Spirit Danu, I'd be concerned about the blinkers. I think he could run way too keen here. And he ran well at Cheltenham, but he was probably flattered by running handy in a sort of slow run race. As for Hansard, he had that good run at Wincanton a couple of starts back, but hasn't done a whole pile since. He's had plenty of racing this year. I'm not sure this track's going to play to Absurd strengths. Like he's the obvious one. And Plumpton, for those that don't know, it's very up and down. It's very quick. It's very tight. It's a bit of a specialist sort of place. And let's say while Absurd has run on similar tracks on the flat, he's not had to come down a hill like Plumpton and be faced with that hurdle right at the bottom of it when they're sort of on their forehand, and that's when horses get stepping, especially horses. I think it's fair to say Absurd, while he's a Cheltenham Festival winner, he's probably slightly more a flat horse still than the hurdler, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's a flat horse that jumps all right, or well enough to win big handicaps. So I'm going to go with a horse with proven form in terms of last year's winner, our champ. He was off £13 lower when he won last year, but he loves to hear his hooves rattle. This horse is great on like sort of quicker ground, which we will get at Plumpton no matter how much water they've put on it. It's hard to argue he hasn't improved massively this season. Like he won off just £4 lower than this a few starts back. Last time he was beat a length and a half by Absurd and 4 1/4 lengths by the winner at Cheltenham. He gets a £1 pull with Absurd here, which maybe wouldn't be quite enough to elevate him to the level of beating him if they had a rematch of the Cheltenham race. But I think with the Plumpton factor factored in, it would be enough to put him in front of him here. And this has probably been the target. I tend to see with him like a proper quick ground horse. They tend to have like an early season target and end of season target. and then in the middle, when the ground's gone, they just run him, and he obviously tumbles back down the weights again. And I would say this is the end of season target, as it's the race he won last year.
Okay, we have betting. That was a huge run from him in the county hurdle. 11-4 favoured is absurd. That's not a surprise. Our champ, who did run that huge race in the county and won this race a year ago, is 11-2. Spirit Danu 17-2. You surprised he's that short?
Yeah.
Me too.
In a word, I suppose they could be looking at sort of the Cheltenham form and thinking he's better off at the weights with a few of these, but he was given a very good ride that day, and I'd say he was flattered.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Daddy Longlegs, Irish Champion Hurdle runner-up. That's a fact, but it requires context. 9-1. Knickerbocker Glory, 9s. Can the Skeltons get one? Can they roar back? You'd imagine Dan Skelton's face if he goes and wins. Origi Mill, 10s. Hansard, 10s. Affadel is the same price. She's a Saint, 12s. Sir Gerard is 16s. That's interesting. And Tusavator is an 18-1 shot. Yeah. When I was looking at this last night.
Cheap usage as well.
Yeah, when I was looking at this last night, Jamie, my initial reaction was to go, I wonder what price they're going to go Sir Gerard. And if he's a double figure price, well, then just back him each way. Because this is an open race, and he's a very, very good horse on his day. And that's a pretty decent run at Goran Park on ground that was, well, it was awful. I was there that day. Back on good ground, he might be able to go and perform a little bit better. I know he's got a bit of weight to carry, but he's getting weight from some key rivals. Overall thoughts on the race, Jamie? Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't sound super enthused about the prospect of Sir Gerard winning a champion hurdle.
No. That was not a bad run behind Kitzbühel, but Kitzbühel didn't do much at the entry, did it really? I think another overhyped horse maybe. But look, next season horses, as we said in the last pod, really, I was on with Kitzbühel and Enzadem, they're all for next year.
Yeah.
For Willie Mullins, then they'll all come on. I kind of agree with George. Like, if you look at it now, Absurd is £10 higher than he won the county hurdle, and on a track that might not suit him. He's by far, obviously, the best horse in the race, but this is not a flat race. I'm finally going to go back to horse that I've shares in, Emmet, and I backed it in entry, and behind She's a Saint. At Musselburgh, I was beaten by Welsh Charger. I backed it in the Imperial Cup, beaten on the Nostril by Godance.
Oh, no.
I think 10-1 to find out, yeah. 10-1. I finally, one more time on better ground, maybe Affadil might finally win a big handicap off that mark. Surely be to God. And but it's not strong, really. Would I be surprised at Absurd actually? Well, third in the county, obviously, and it was a big run after having not run over hurdles in a year. But to see can win off a mark of 148, does it improvement up into the 150s Absurd as a hurdler? I don't think so. Maybe. I might be totally wrong, but I'll take one stupid chance more on Affadil, yeah.
Okay. I had to take him out of the tracker. I had to. I was like, this is not good for me. It's just not good for me. I just had to stop. But hey, maybe he will. He's a 10-1 shot, so it's not like you're not getting value to find out. 10-1 Affadil for Paul Nicholls. Can he every win for someone else not named Mullins is a point for Dan Skelton. So can the mentor help out the former mentee? Andy Newton settled the Sussex Champion Hurdle for us.
Yeah, I mean, look, Affadil is definitely worth a shout because, I mean, Nicholls has got quite a good record in this. He's won it 3 times in the last 9. And in fact, like, you know, him and Chris Gordon have just literally mopped up this. I think that between them, they've won 6 of the last 9. Obviously, this year it is a lot stronger than we're used to. And, you know, like George said, I mean, you know, I've been to Plumpton many a time. Never ridden there, obviously, but been there, you know, zillions of times. And it is quite a specialist track and you know, tight and there's a few undulations and this, that and the other, and you know, having course form there. I mean, Affadil's never run there. Obviously all the Mullins horses, you know, first time that they're going to be on plumps as well. So, you know, is that going to suit? You know, Absurd has won around Chester. We sort of talked about that beforehand. That was on the flat, but yes, you know, it's got a few hurdles to jump this time as well. So that is going to be the one with Harry Cobden on. He's got a great strike rate here. But look, Mullins, I think he only had one runner previously at Plumpton, didn't he? Festival, when he had a random runner there on the Monday, I think, before the Cheltenham Festival, and it was turned over, wasn't it? Something like 1-8. Was it called More Cocoa or something like that? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was our horse beat it, old Cowboy.
Yeah, that's right, because you put up yours, didn't you, against it? So, which was a great shout. But that's I know it's only one run, but that's a slight sort of indication, a sign that are these Mullins horses going to be suited by the track? We don't know. So based on that, I mean, look, there's. I had a little tot up of the prize money. I mean, it's nothing to be sniffed at. It's 39 grand for the winner. But look, if Mullins has got 4 in here, if he has, pulls off the first 4 home, that's 70 grand in the back being against Skelton. I mean, second gets 18, third gets 19, the fourth gets up 4.5. So he's going to pick up something, isn't he? And obviously Skelton's only got 1, I think, runner in it. But look, it all just comes back. I'm with George. Yeah, proven form, our champ. Yes, it's up £13 from when it won it last year. Cracking run in the county last time out. A little bit better off Cargeezy would have run in this. Obviously, it wouldn't have been. But and as George said, this would have been the target. We know Chris Gordon loves this race. We know it loves the track. Freddie takes off 3. He was on last time, so that's a little bit irrelevant. But yeah, good ground is absolutely perfect for this horse. And don't know, just can't see it being out of the frame, to be honest with you. Our champ looks a sort of top 3 banker, and hopefully it'll win. But let's go for it. Yeah,
he was one I seriously considered for the county hurdle as well, and in the end left him off. But he ran a massive race that day.
Well, only beaten 4 in a quarter, I think, wasn't it, in the county, and like you say, staying on. So I just think that proven track form, mate, Randy, is going to be absolutely huge.
It's not impossible that Daddy Longlegs runs a massive race here as well. He ran a big race in the county too, and he's got to give the weight again to our champion. Freddie Gingell again claims 3 off him. I think you're all right. If Absurd runs his race and handles the track, he wins. Is he going to handle the track? And does 11-4 appeal to you?
Given we've had shouts for Affodil and our champ, it's got to be the Freddie reverse forecast, hasn't it? You can even chuck in Spirit Danu and have the Freddie combination tricast.
Freddie. Yeah, I quite like that, actually. That's a good one.
Yeah. Like I said, Nichols and Gordon have run 6 of the last 9 of this. So, yeah, it's not the worst shout. A little reverse forecast with them 2 or something. But anyway.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think 16-1 is too big about Sir Gerard, and I have a funny feeling you're going to get bigger.
Yeah.
I have a funny feeling you might get 20s, and I think people are going to look at him going, beating 28 lengths, beating 39 lengths, beating 24 lengths.
Who's he got to ride in that one?
John Joe.
Oh, John Joe.
If he's back to the level of form he showed behind Impere Pass, if he's back to the level of form he showed behind Impere Pass with the reigning Coral Cup winner Langer Dan, who I know went badly wrong this season and has now been retired, but at the time Langer Dan was in great form. He'd been second in an entry hurdle. If he's back to that level of form, in first-time cheek pieces, you're getting 16-1, Sir Gerard. And then I can WhatsApp Paul Ferguson and say, I told you all those years ago he should have been going for the Champion Hurdle. We'll see how it plays out. Okay, let's go to Fairyhouse. This is Monday, 3:50, the Rathbarry and Glenview Studs Hurdle. It's a grade 2. We have no betting, but we do have entries. Beacon Edge, Maxim, Kopek Demi is hardly going to run here off a mark of 143. Surely there's a handicap to be one that punches down with him. Asterion Falange, who was second to Hewick last time out. Ballyadam, who comes into this on a huge run after the Coral Cup, as does Colonel Mustard, who ran a big race for Lorna Fowler, who's back among the winners lately. And, of course, Jimmy DeSoy, who won the Coral Cup. So who is going to come out on top? Jamie Wren.
Yeah, well, exactly what you're saying, Emmet. I hope Kopek to me doesn't run here off 143 because I think there's definitely a handicap in him. I think he might need further over 3 miles and going right-handed. It might suit him better. It's just a complete two-hand reel, really. It's whatever the 2 lads went in the Coral Cup, Ballyadam and Jimmy DeSoy. But I think the more rain that falls, it'll suit Jimmy DeSoy even more because he went on his debut at heavy ground in Clonmel. I think he's more potential to be better than 153, hopefully. And now Ballyadam's a 10-year-old. Look, you could see the back class of Jimmy DeSoy was there to be seen, like second to Ballyburn last year, 4th behind Brighter Days at the entry, 5th again behind Ballyburn last year at Punchestown, and was put away then for the maybe being hard to train or just they just put it away and won the Coral Cup like a really good horse off 146. I think it'll just win and it'll just move on to maybe a crack at 3 miles, maybe a Punchestown, you just know, because he's so lightly raced. And I think it'll be Ballyadam. It should surely. Are you going to get a price to find out? Probably not.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, though. Like, that performance in the Coral Cup was just outrageous. I imagine that they knew what they had and just decided, we'll just go quietly with this fella, because none of our novices are going to qualify for the handicaps. We're not going to get enough runs into them. But this guy's already ready, and he's qualified. So let's just keep him fresh. He's come out in one of the style of a Grade 1 horse, and he probably is. So if he is a Grade 1 horse, George Gorman, he really should be winning this.
Yeah, on weight-adjusted ratings, it's Jimmy de Soy, then Gala Marceau, then Ballyadam, all separated by £2. I think the £5 swing at the weights for Jimmy de Soy will stand to Ballyadam, and actually he'd have been a lot closer at Cheltenham if it weren't for a bad mistake 4 out. Just that he was right in the middle of his move, and I was there obviously that day. I stood by the chute as they came in, and I've never seen Rachel like you think, oh, Ballyadam, he's a 10-year-old, probably a bit of a yard favourite. They'll be delighted. He's run off his face at Cheltenham. It was like a funeral procession. Rachel was livid. I think they thought he was an absolute good thing at Cheltenham. Like I fancied him myself each way.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
I thought they'd have been delighted with how he ran, and they seemed really, really, really unhappy, which I think is worth mentioning in this context. That form's obviously all right in context with the others. Zampos Trois ran a huge race at Aintree despite an early mistake, meaning he had to come from off the pace when nothing was coming off the pace. He was 4, still ran well. Crucially, he's not there's been long enough between Cheltenham and this. I would still say he's running as a bit of a fresh horse, Ballyadam. His form when fresh is worth mentioning. He's 11 runs off the back of breaks of 50 days or more, 3 wins, 2 seconds and 4 thirds. This is only a break of 40 days, but you'd like to think he's done very little in between, especially as a 10-year-old. They'd have freshened him right up for this. And yeah, I'm just going to give the old boy Ballyadam another chance.
Okay. He's beaten St. Sam and been third to Jimmy de Soy last time out. Can he reverse the Coral Cup form, Andy Newton?
I think he can as well. I'm with George. I'm following George all the way at the moment. It's not I'm not copying
the other way around to last time we were on, isn't it? No, that was Adam.
Do you want me to go to Andy first now?
Yeah. Adam's actually putting them in my ear, and then I'm saying them, and then Andy's copying me.
Yeah. I mean, that was the one day at Cheltenham I was there as well, and I just thought it was a place banker. I mean, whether it would have won or not, I mean, probably should have done. Like you say, I didn't know all that that sort of subplot about Rachel afterwards and whatever. That's interesting to know as well. So they potentially thought he would have won, but I thought, I think I backed it top 4. I sort of cowered out a little bit, but I thought that was just his record at Cheltenham, unbelievable. And like you say, with the weight pool now. That's going to be absolutely huge. It's £5 better off of Jimmy. The thing with Jimmy for me is just worth 2 things really. It's never run at Fairyhouse before, so we just don't know. I mean, there's no reason to say that it won't suit, but we just don't know. Whereas Ballyadam, it won the Royal Bond, didn't it, back in the day, 2020. So we know the track's going to be absolutely fine. And then with the weight pool, and I don't know whether has Jimmy ever backed up a win. I know it's only won twice, but when it won last time at Clonmel back in January last year, it sort of bombed out a little bit. I know that was at Cheltenham against Ballyburn. Well, it actually ran right 6-6-1. But I mean, just Ballyadam's experience for me, track form. We've probably mentioned last the Asterium Forlonge as well. Of course, his distance winner won this before, didn't it, in 2023?
It's going to Cork on Sunday, Andy, I think.
Oh, is that not going, is it? Oh, okay.
That's Cork on Sunday.
Because it's won this before, that it might go again. And I just got, Colonel Mustard, it'll probably be there or thereabouts. But, I mean, can you really back a horse it's won once in its last 18, plus, with the weight sort of pull against Ballyadam and Jimmy, you just think that's going to place at best really for Lorna, unfortunately. So Ballyadam for me, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Let's kick it on to the Jack McInerney Memorial Fairyhouse Chase Grade 2. Again, entries only, no prices as of yet, but found a 15 American Mica in there for Gordon Elliott alongside Ashtree Meadow, Classic Getaway for Willie Mullins, Journey With Me, who won this race. a year ago for Henry de Bromhead is back yet again, and this is another race that Willie Mullins has got a pretty decent record in. Henry de Bromhead won it last year. Willie Mullins has won it 4 times since 2018. Good old Mr. Policeman is possibly going to have his comeback, a real favourite of the podcast for various different reasons. But if Hartwood lines up here, Jamie, how far does he win by?
I think Mr. Policeman is declared for Cork as well, and so I might be wrong. I think I saw it as well, yeah, on that Grade 3 chase. I think he's in Cork as well on Sunday. But anyway, yeah.
You're right, and JJ Slevin will ride.
Yeah. Hartwood. Like, found a 50 runs here because £8 to Hartwood. No, that's not going to happen anyway. Look, the form is there to be seen all year. Emmet started the season in Wexford, beating the ill-fated Corbett's Cross, second in the Dreamer to Croke Park, fourth behind Gallopin in the Savills, and second behind Factor File in the Ryanair. You're going to get a skimpy, sharp price to find out if he can win. I had a good winner of this last year, Journey With Me, but his form is tailed off pretty badly, I think, compared to what it was. I thought it was going to be a decent horse, but look, if Hartwood turns up here, like, surely wins this easy.
You'd be disappointed if he doesn't win this.
Very disappointed, yeah.
In all fairness, like, he just should be. This should be just multiple banker, George Gorman.
Yeah, no sense in adding much more to that, really. Like, Hartwood's absolutely chucked in, and has been there once before, was big over course and distance, which isn't the worst form in the world, is it? Copy and paste. Hartwood just goes on Wednesday. I think the only one that would
go on, George. Sorry,
I said the only one that interests me if it was an each way price would be Saint Sam. Obviously, we've got no betting at the time. If he was overlooked, if someone messed up in the office, he is also rated 160, but it's maybe a slightly less sexy type. I think he'd be second best in at the weights. He's got form with all the right horses. Be a lot fresher than most of these. He's been campaigned very sparingly this winter. If you could get anything resembling an each way price, or if we even get 8 runners, he would be of interest.
Yeah, he was pretty underwhelming at Goran, but he has talent, so there's no doubt about that. Andy?
Yeah, Hartwood. Let's move on. Come on.
Yeah. He's a stone cold solid moral. A stone cold solid moral. Which brings us.
Yeah, the run last time out in the Ryanair was a sign that it's sort of creeping back to form, and look, it's just hard to see anything else being
easy game. Easy. Just don't complicate your mind.
He won this a few times, didn't it?
He won it 3 times, and I'd like to know where he is, because he's the winning most horse in Willie Mullins' yard, and he's an absolute legend of a horse. So hopefully he's all right. Hartwood wins, and don't complicate your mind. Just place your bets on Hartwood, put him in all your multiples, and we're grand. If you're going to be betting on the Irish Grand National, now is the time to sign up to Jeff Banks Bet. Use your promo code FFP500. You get 10% of any net losses back after your first 3 months of betting. Your first 3 months of betting, 10% back of any net losses up to £500. FFP500 is your promo code. Use it now. Get your bets on for the Irish Grand National, the Punchestown Festival, and of course, the classics and the rest of the flat season to come. The BoyleSports Irish Grand National, Haughty Calor, for Rebecca Curtis and Sean Bone coming over for the ride, is a 5-1 favourite. Now is the hour for Gavin Cromwell. Would he have beaten him? Don't know, but he would have gone close. 7-1 after his fall in the National Hunt Chase. High Class Hero for Willie Mullins is an 8-1 shot, and he was a good winner at Punchestown. A couple of starts back, disappointing defeat though, odds on last time out. Another British raider, Johnny Hu for the O'Neill team. 10s, better days ahead for Gordon Elliott, is 12-1. He'll carry top weight, and a horse who's becoming fascinating, particularly. Quick look outside. Yes, I'm an hour away from Fairyhouse. It's continuing to lash with rain. Where is the sunshine gone? We were all working on our tans, and now suddenly we're ducking for cover from the rain. Bioluminescence is between 14 and 12-1, and she will love this ground, and her form could take a big boost, with Spindleberry finishing first or second in that Grade 1 WillowWarm. Jamie Wren, give us your shortlist for the Irish Grand National.
You just stole one of me after saying Spindleberry win the WillowWarm. Yeah, bioluminescence, the more rain, the better. She'll love the slog. But before that, Emmet, I think there's only one race in the whole world that you have to be looking at from earlier in the season at Navan, and it was the Beginner's Chase on the 18th of January, over 3 miles, and it was won by 3 Car Bragg. And second was Kinter Kalanisi, third was the Scottish Grand National where Captain Kogedy, and fourth was Now Is the Hour.
Yeah.
Were my two on the shortlist for ages in this race. Kinturk Calanisi. I backed it the last day in the Leinster National. Anna McGuinness was on it, £7. She was off the same mark, 135, and she was taking £7 off, which is 128. I think she saw her name in lights when she jumped to second last, and it unfortunately sprawled the landing. I think it would have won by an easy margin, and it's probably could be a blessing in disguise, to be honest with you. And even if they put a claimer on, this horse has definitely been targeted at this race all year. Kinturk Calanisi, the way he was running around on all those beginner chases and rated novice chases. I know I backed it another day at Fairyhouse and it was beaten by Judicious Allen, and that did nothing really at Cheltenham. Yesterday was it, yeah. But I think this has been trained for the race. And Now Is the Hour, I backed it at Cheltenham. Would it have beaten Haughty Colour? I don't think so. Don't know. I don't know. I'm on the fence on that one. But definitely has a chance of, when you consider 10 stone here. But if you put a gun to my head out of the three of them, I really fancy Kinturk Calanisi, especially with the form with Tricar Bragg ran well for so long in the Grand National. Captain Cody's won a Scottish, and now was behind it. So I can go to one each way, definitely on Kinturk Calanisi. But he's definitely on my shortlist with Now Is the Hour and Bioluminescence. Yeah,
That's a big shout, Jamie. I really like that, particularly the form of that race and how it's worked out. And Tom Gibney obviously has got a great record in the Irish Grand National as well. Very much with you with Bioluminescence. I think she's just becoming really, really obvious for this race. And Now Is the Hour. Yeah, I don't know if he'd have beaten him. Damn, he was going well. George Gorman, your Irish Grand National shortlist.
Yeah, I also think there's only one race to look at with a view to this race, but I've picked a completely different one. It's the Kinmure. You've obviously got the first three home are all represented here in Johnny Who, Daily Present and Sam Jest, and they're wildly different prices. While the first two home are 10 to 1 and 14 to 1 here, the third, Sam Jest, is available at 25 to 1. Receives a £5 pull at the weights with both of those. I thought looked likely that day to improve for further. Crucially, that was the best ground he had encountered over fences. And basically it was nearly the furthest he'd been beaten by the run in that novice chase at Limerick. But I think back on softer ground, up in trip, Sam Jest will be even closer to, if not past those. I think it's far too big a price at 25 to 1. And the other one, but you certainly wouldn't have seen him in the closing stages in the Kinmure, is Mint Boy, who belongs to Gavin Cromwell. An absolute plot job for a handicap at Cheltenham. Like, if you look, he's £3 higher than he was when he got beaten a Punchdown beginner's chase by High Class Hero. He was beaten 11.5 lengths, so that doesn't sound overly promising. It was only the third time in his career he had tackled a distance of 2 miles 6 or more. Those three runs are responsible for his three highest RPRs of 127, 127, 133. The latter was winning a handicap hurdle at Fairyhouse over 3 mile off a mark 126. The fact that he had yet to step up to 3 mile before Cheltenham suggests to me they'd been protecting his mark, biding their time. Especially he ran over completely inadequate trips. He had 2 efforts over 2 miles 6 where he had RPRs. Those two runs over 2 miles 6, he got RPRs £13 higher than his run over 2 mile 1 over fences. His jumping had been improving massively on his last 2 starts before Cheltenham. And I thought he was making a big move in the Kinmure. He was sort of just starting to creep away, too far out to say where he would have finished, but he looked very comfortable when he made a mistake and unseated the rider. I think is he £1 lower now than his hurdles mark, I think, or the same as his hurdles mark. Meaning if offence has improved him at all, going back this trip, could see him about £10 to £15 well in, based on the difference between his hurdles RPRs at 3 miles compared to his hurdles RPRs at 2 mile 4. So that is all very complicated way of saying they've been running it over too short a trip. They tried to make it come off at Cheltenham, and there was an unfortunate mistake that caused the jockey to part companies. But I think he's still very well in, and if he can creep away and he can get it right this time, he will prove to be as well handicapped as I think he is.
You sold me again, George, because I actually backed him in the Kimir.
Yeah. He was you certainly you weren't counting your money, but you were going, this is going well. You were really happy.
I was happy, yeah.
And the other thing I should say, he will be out the weights more than likely in the Irish National, but not by a whole pile.
Just before I come to Andy, what do you all make of Better Days Ahead?
Is he definitely running, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
I read a line from Gordon Elliott that said he was going to run.
Yeah.
Strange decision, really. Keeping the weight down for something else, is it?
Yeah, it's going to be top weight, obviously, as well, isn't it? I think now. But I mean, Elliott's come out and said, I mean, he's only won it once, hasn't he, in the past with that, was it General Principle? But I think he has come out and said, this is the class act of his sort of army that are going. So we'll see. Course winner, obviously, but we'll just have to see once the weights are revised. But I don't know. What do you think, Emmet?
I think 12-1 is very, very big for a horse of his class. Like, he beat Stellar Story. Now, Stellar Story reversed that form under a more vigorous ride, shall we say, at Cheltenham. But he shaped really well for a long way in the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. And yeah, okay, Ballyburn has come out of that race, but that's a Grade 1 Novice Chase. He's placed in it. We've had horses run well in the Brown Advisory in the past. I Am Maximus, for example, got beaten in that race, then comes out and wins the Irish Grand National in his next start. And while he's going to be top weight...
I mean, how much weight do you think he'll get? That's the thing.
That's the question. You're trying to figure out... So he's currently on 10-13. That's not what he'll be carrying. He'll be carrying more than that.
It'll be 11 something. But I mean, that is the thing. I mean, I was going to sort of mention a few trends because, a lot of people like them, some don't.
Yeah, take us through them to try and clear this picture up a bit more.
So, look, the 18 of the last 21 age-wise have been 9 or younger, and that's going to be pretty much most of them, right? There's going to be a few 10-year-olds in there, whatever, but that's going to be most of them, right? But in terms of weight, 18 of the last 21 have carried 10 stone 13 or less, okay? But the sort of trend haters out there, if you like, are going to... The last 2 winners carried 11-4 and 11-1. So is it sort of, turning or whatever? But look, since 1996, we've only seen 5 winners that have carried 11 stone 1 or more. So, and there's been some, I don't know, I mean, you can take it even further if you want, like 16 of the last 21 have carried 10 stone 8 or less. So, generally something with a low weight has taken it. The other thing to look for is Fairyhouse form. 14 of the last 21 have just run at Fairyhouse before, which obviously would be something against some of the British challengers, Haiti Claus and Johnny Who and so on. So yeah, I think since 2005 there's only been 3 British winners, isn't there? John Joe's won it twice, which is it's a plus for Johnny Who. And did Bob Buckley win it, I think, or Buckler back in the fairly recently with that niche market. So I'd love to see Rebecca's horse win it, and I think that there's plenty more improvement to come, and we know it will stay. Sean Bowen's coming over; he's riding out of his skin at the moment, and actually, to be honest, it's not been a great race for favourites either. Sticking with the trends, 3 of the last, but all of those 3 have come fairly recently. They've come in the last 9 years, so it has been okay for the Fabs, fairly recently. So, that horse looks like going off as the market leader. So will tick all the other stats like the weight and the age and so on. So that'll be, I will be cheering that one on. But I think, look, I'm with Jamie. He's sort of stolen my tip here again. Not you this time, but George in the previous races. But this Kinturk Kalanisi, I mean, look, that was going to win that race last time out, wasn't it? And it wasn't even, it wasn't even a 4, it was an unseat, so I think the horse will be fine. It's had a nice little break since then. Same mark, it's going to tick all the stats. It's number 28 at the moment, so it should be okay. It should get in. And yeah, I mean, like you say, it ran second to that 3-card Bragg that ran a right in the National. Even in that Leinster National, it would have finished ahead of Panda Boy, who's running in this. In his second now, was second in this race, won it last year. That was in behind it. Well, I'm unseated, but it would have definitely finished ahead of those 2. So yeah, and we know the trainer loves winning this race twice, hasn't he, in the past? So yeah, and I think the only other one, look, Will Do was the other Elliott one that he was sort of harping on about if it gets in, but I think it needs a few to come out. I think Melina Girl for the sort of each way backers out there that, you know, we know it will stay. Ran all right in the Ultima, stayed on, got third. I think it's the same mark. Gavin's never won this, has he? Gavin Cromwell, so that would be a nice touch for him. So we'll see. I mean, God, has any trainer won, you know, the Aintree Scottish and the Irish in the same season? Obviously, Mullins is going for that, and I don't know. I couldn't see anyone recently that has. So he's pinning his hopes on George's one and High Class Hero. But I think there's inexperience for his High Class Hero would be the neg for me. Only won 3 times, run 3 times over fences. First time at Fairyhouse as well. So trip a bit of an unknown. So we'll see. We'll be trying to create some history. But Kinturk Kalaniti, I think.
Can I just say, Mint Boy absolutely won't be out the way. So I don't know if you boys are on Racing Post as well, but my Racing Post has decided top weight is 10 stone 13.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so actually Mint Boy will have 10 stone 9, I think, doing the maths in my head quick. But my Racing Post has Better Days Ahead as carrying 10 stone 13 and has done all the rest of the weights off that. It's got Haiti Clare running off 10 stone.
Yeah, that's none of that makes any sense.
Now it's the 10 stone as well, yeah.
None of that makes any sense. It must just be they're all too busy eating Easter eggs, or I'll have to apologise because that's how this ends up. I'm pretty keen on. I have been pretty keen on bioluminescence, but particularly with the rain coming, so she's definitely on the short list. I really liked Now Is the Hour. He's getting short. I'll say one that you're probably all going to go, oh no. Key to Bourbon.
Not a bad show.
Thank you, Jamie Wren. Thank you.
I think, were they talking about sending it to Sandown though? Because I don't like for next week. That was the only thing I'd say. I mean, I mean, look, I think it was going to run a big race at Aintree when it came down.
He's been sent off an odds-on favourite for the Novice Hurdle at Ayr that he wins. He's backed as though defeat is out of the question on his chase debut, runs well. He then beats poor old Chapeau de Soleil at Goran Park. Right after that race, Danny Mullins, almost the only horse he wanted to talk about outside of Ballyburn, including Dancing City, was Key to Bourbon. He didn't really want to talk that much about Dancing City, who was in the process of running a huge race until he clouts the third last and probably doesn't handle Cheltenham anyway. Key to Bourbon gets wiped out that day and then gets wiped out again when he was just about to start coming with a run under Patrick. If he's in the lineup, he shouldn't be 20-1. So Bioluminescence and Key to Bourbon are the two I'll go for. But I think the boys have all made very, very strong cases. Okay, who is your best bet over the Easter festive national hunt racing? We'll begin with Jamie.
Oh, Hartwood. It's too obvious. But...
5's on. Lump on, lads. 50 to win 10. Happy days. Easy. George Gorman, your best bet.
At the current prices, Heir of Entitlement. If by the time this is published she's short enough, I would say Ballyadam.
Andy Newton.
Yeah, like that. I'm going to go against George with the big Westerner. I think that one just running against his own sex for the first time. Our champ in the Plumpton, the big race there, the Champion Hurdle there, and Kinturk we spoke about. But the other one, like Mr. Freedom, which is a horse that George, I think tipped up last time, that was entered in the Champion Hurdle Plumpton, and Sheena pulled it out, but he's still going in another race. Is it the 5:15 on Sunday? So that might be one. Yeah. Loves the track and ran all right last time, I think, didn't it, against, was it an Ollie Murphy horse that has since won after, I think we was on last time, George, and you put up Mr. Freedom and it ran all right. But the horse that beat it, I can't remember what it's called now, is it something like 4 6s or something like that? It's come out and won again since. So anyway, just keep an eye on that, I think.
He's 5-1, Mr. Freedom, as well at Plumpton on Sunday. It's probably a very, very fair price He'd have been of interest if he had run in the Plumpton Champion Hurdle. So the fact he's running in a much lower race, you get 5-1 about him. It was the 4 6s was also beat him. And
that's
Hon Public.
That's gone in again since, isn't it? And Hon Public actually ran a right air last week over fences, didn't it? So I think the form looks fairly solid. So anyway, just something away from the races we spoke about.
Okay, I'll go away from the races we've spoken about as well. 3 o'clock Fairyhouse on Sunday. Daughter of Sol Arena for Philip Fenton and the Bows. Bombed out when she was He was a long odds-on favourite for the Mullins camp when running for Willie in a novice handicap hurdle. I say long odds-on favourite. He was sent off 10 to 11, but then won a novice hurdle next time out. Fav, but beaten in his next 3 starts. Ran okay in 5 hurdle starts, went back with the bows. Won on his chase debut. Bolted up for Philip Fenton. Absolutely bolted up. Now 2 from 2 over fences. He's a much better chaser than he was a hurdler, and he'll take a fair bit of beating at Fairyhouse on Sunday. Right, that is it. Thank you very much for listening and watching this episode of the Final Furlong Podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you found it somewhat informative. Always a pleasure to chat with the lads, and always a pleasure to chat with you as well. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, likes and shares are much appreciated on YouTube, shares on social media as well. From George Gorman, Jamie Wren, Andy Newton and me, happy Easter to you. Enjoy the Easter eggs, enjoy the few days break, and all the top class racing. We'll have more coverage on the Final Furlong Podcast for you next week. From all of us, look after yourself and each other. God bless.
The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.